Hello to the folks joining us. I'm going to give it one more minute, let a few more people hop on, and then we will get started. All right, thank you everyone for joining today's webinar, BIM to Reality, Connecting Designs and Machinery with Evolve and PypeServer. Today's webinar is being presented by Ricky Bell, Senior Software Engineer with PypeServer, and Evolve's Mechanical Implementation Specialist, Sean Keeley. Both of these guys have had years of experience working hands-on with Revit. You could even call them a BIM expert. So they are here to show you guys how to walk through building a model in Evolve and taking it all the way over to PypeServer Connect for realization in the real world. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and we will forward the recording to all registrants. You can also find all of our webinar recordings on the Evolve YouTube channel. Now, if you have any questions, please submit them using the Q&A function in your Zoom toolbar. We may have some time to go over those questions at the end. All right, great. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Sean to kick things off today.
Hi, I'm Sean Kiley. Again, I'm a Mechanical Implementation Specialist with Evolve. To kick it off here, we are going to go over placing hangers, just a couple different types of hangers we have in Evolve. And then we can push those hanger rod lengths and everything over to PypeServer to have the rods and the struts cut. So our hanger tool, we have ITM hangers that'll place hangers on any ITM content you have. So we'll place some of those. And one nice thing about the ITM hangers, they go on pretty quick. They do automatic clash detection, and we have different settings for the space around the hangers or around the items that will throw up a clash. So in this case, I have my tolerance set to 2 inches. So since this has to be, I have it set to within a foot of this connector, it's within 2 inches of this other pipe. So it's telling us we have a clash. So that's just how the clash detection works. Works for any other items in the model. So if you have duct and everything, it'll clash around other links as well. We also have trapeze hangers for all content. So place those. Again, we have clash detection in these as well. It will move the hangers and stretch them out to make sure that they are not clashing with anything else. This view here is just a view showing an unfiltered 3D view where it pulls in all the model elements and clashes around each one. Even if it's hidden in your original view, it'll still pick it up. So if you have your structural model hidden for some reason, it will clash around that as well. So with that, that's our hanger tool. Pretty quick and easy. You can make spool sheets with them, schedule them out. We have a multitude of different hangers and everything for both ITMs and RFA content. So that's hangers, and on to the PypeServer part.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Great job. PypeServer has a plugin now for Evolve mechanical users. Okay, it's a separate installation that you can get off of Evolve's website, and we'll link you to it at the end of this. Basically, what it does is it allows us to write the code and control the recognition of items within each version of Revit. So when the next version of Revit comes out and Autodesk API goes and changes all these rules on us, Evolve doesn't have to worry about that. PypeServer is going to take care of updating that application in the background, and then the next version of Evolve Mechanical that comes out will have the latest and greatest, recognize my hanger rods, recognize my pipe lengths, recognize my end prep kind of code, and that's really what PypeServer specializes in. So what we're going to do is we'll take these hanger rods, the strut lengths, we will also take all of these pipe lengths, and we're going to export them out to a cloud interface that is available from PypeServer, free for all PypeServer customers if you're using PypeServer Enterprise or PypeServer Lite. then our cloud interface and this plugin, there's no charge for. And we're going to take those pipe lengths and rod and strut lengths, and we're going to bring them down onto the software that would process them on the shop floor, getting rid of the need for maybe as detailed spool sheets, or getting rid of the need for having paper on the shop floor, and taking steps towards a fully digital workflow from your VDC to your fab department. So how we do that is we have specific settings within that are available right here within Evolve MEP. So Sean, if you go up to the PypeServer area and click on settings. In here are ways that we can improve, alter, round up the data to be able to help in the fabrication process downstream. There we go. Okay, here, I'll go through each of these tabs, but at the very top, you can see that we're in the data mapping tab. Basically, you're going to use the column on the right-hand side to refer to your Revit parameter, and you use the column on the left-hand side, which turns into a drop-down when you click on it, to help you map to a PypeServer parameter. Okay, so no matter where these hanger rods came from, or these what library this pipe came from, you've got opportunities here to improve the data quality. Basic things like the size of the pipe and the wall thickness of the pipe, Revit kind of handles that. But when it comes to hangers, different hanger manufacturers are going to have different parameters in different places. This is an area where you can improve the quality of the data. And the rule of thumb is basically, do I want to see this on a label? So there's an area or zone or a sequence that you want to see on your label downstream on your fabrication floor, then you probably want to map it here to one of the string parameters. But to support Evolve type hangers, these are the settings right here. And I think it'll be real easy for Sean to save these settings for anybody that they can just hit the ground running. You can do that with the export settings at the bottom. Okay. Going down to branch extensions. This is an area where you can turn saddles and fish mouths into something that you'd want to fabricate on your piping profiler. So by default, whether you're using ITMs or families, these taps, these saddles and fish mouths will come in as fittings. And we want to turn that into an actual piece of pipe that can be processed. These fittings don't necessarily have the correct outer diameter and wall thickness, which we'll need for fabrication. So basically what this is you put in a keyword that would say stab in, or it would say saddle, or it would say fish mouth, whatever matches your content. And then this tool will help to turn that into pipe that can be processed with a fish mouth end on it. Very similarly, the pulled T conversion will take a T that typically has 3 joints on it, and it will turn the main and the run of the T into one solid piece of pipe and turn the branch into a fish mouth piece. So it takes out 3 straight joints and puts in 1 saddle joint. Okay, so joint savings. Moving on, data filters. This is where you can put in information to filter things out of your selection. If you're not going to be handling some of this small diameter pipe on your Vernon or your older Watts or your HGG or any machine that PypeServer supports, you probably want to filter out anything that's 2-inch and below, but we still want to know about it because that's going to cause a hole into the main that PypeServer will then. So this is a way for you to add a row and say, filter out anything with the outer diameter less than 2.6 or something like that. Okay. We also have options in here to capture weld data, and that has to do with our integrations with downstream automatic welders like Novarc and RotoWeld, where we can power those machines as well. Capturing fitting data helps when we get up into PypeServer Cloud. It'll give us a little bit of context. We won't just see some sticks in space in our 3D viewer. We'll actually see the elbows and we'll see the T's. Let's go down to hanger prefab. This is a way that you can improve the quality of your hanger exports. Okay, so I'm going to ask Sean to click on round up hanger lengths, and we'll round up our struts to 2 inches and our rods to 2 inches or something like that. This is going to take a lot of the small nuances between each piece, 3/16, 5/16. So Let's just round all that up to either the full inch, or in this case, an even number. I'm going to go with 2 inches. On the right, this is a way that you can account for kind of sandwich type hangers where you'd have multiple struts. So you would add a row here, give it something to look for, and say my sandwich strut hanger uses this terminology. And what that terminology means is it means that there are 2 or 3 strut hung on the same hanger rods. Okay. Now under end conditions, we're actually going to do something live here. This is a way that we can put real fabricatable data to how Revit refers to it. So if Revit refers to the end of a piece of pipe as beveled, that's great. But we need to know exactly what that bevel is, so the bevel angle, and we need to know if you trust your pipe lengths in Revit. Do we need to adjust the root gap at all to go in or out toward the center of the pipe to account for a weld? So let's do something real quick live. If we just click OK here, we want to grab a little bit of data. Yeah, you're fine, Sean. Let's use one of the, just that green pipe right there. Maybe if you just tap right into it. And I want to hit the preview button on that. So this is up in the Evolve toolbar under PypeServer. You can preview by selection. This gives you all the information that we're able to capture about this. Okay. What I'm looking for, if you scroll down, we've got cut template name. We can try that. Let's check your settings one more time. I think we're overwriting the pipe end prep. Let's go to settings. And do you have anything else in that right there under data mapping?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Well, good enough. Let's, how do you typically in Evolve, you deal with end preparations? Like if you were to say that one's beveled, I think you have like end prep 1 and end prep 2, maybe over in the properties window.
Yes.
Where are those at?
So we have connector types. Connector 1 and connector 2.
Oh, okay. All right. That's not typically what we would see in there, but that's what I'm looking for. Is that just a different piece?
Yep, I picked cast.
Oh, excellent. Let's use that blue piece for example. We're going to take that butt weld M connector description. Let's copy that. And we can go up into PypeServer properties. And end conditions. Let's create a new row here and just paste it right into the end condition. Okay, so now we have a map we can do whatever we want with now. We can skip the material in the max and min OD. This is if you really want to get into the weeds here and have different bevel angles for different materials or different sizes within those materials. A typical bevel angle would be 37.5 degrees or 30 degrees. It's really whatever you guys decide in your fabrication shop. Okay, we'll leave root gap alone for now, so just click OK. And now preview that same piece. I guess it was pink, but. And if you do the same thing, scroll down to the bottom, we'll see that we have a real bevel angle now of 37.5. That matches that cut template name. Okay, so those are the things we can control just by mapping the cut template name ahead of time. So one thing we're going to do here is we're going to send 2 different cut files out to PypeServer Cloud. And then really Sean's responsibility here is over because the VDC just sends it up to the cloud. Sean will be able to view it. He'll be able to check progress on it. But really it's the responsibility of fabricating it has moved on to a different team. So maybe select everything. Yep. Filter out just the hangers. You want to grab those conduit fittings as well. Okay, using the PypeServer toolbar, you can just export by selection. Great. So those are the struts and the rods as well. And we can do the same thing for the piping components just by making a selection and doing the opposite, just keeping all the pipe. Great. So Sean, I don't know if you have your browser open to the PypeServer portal. We can do a little lay of the land for the viewers as well. Okay, so Sean, you would go to work and you would go to project. All right, so this screen right here, because Sean is a sub account of Adam, Adam really holds the license for PypeServer Cloud. Sean has to switch to Adam's account to be able to view this. Now, this was handled under Adam's team management, where he can add as many users as he wants that will have access to this repository of projects. Okay, so this is kind of a bird's eye view of all of your projects and where you're at with each project. If you would hit cut files, you can go one level deeper. So upper right, you can see cut files. And then you can see it split out by cut files. So hangers have been associated, piping is there, and you're at 0% for each of those. Okay, and then if you go to view cut parts, so say under piping, this is our cut parts viewer. This is a PypeServer proprietary viewer that we've created that is outside of the Autodesk Forge or ADS environment. So meaning that there are no Forge credits that have to be cashed in. There's really no costs to it because we wrote it ourselves. Okay. Even if you go one level deeper here, if you go to select a spool on it's top center, it says select a spool.
Oh.
Right there. And just pick any of them. So this is an individual spool viewer. You get additional tools here. You can see those 4 black boxes at the bottom. On the left, you can add, is that a little bit to the right? It's actually within that square of the viewer.
Oh,
Yep. So what we can do there is put different dimensions on. If you wanted to do center to end or end to end dimensions, just go ahead and click on, click the dimension box once, and then click on center to end. Okay, you get the idea. You can put on size and material tags or item number tags as well. This isn't necessarily meant to replace a spool sheet, but just a way to give you a little bit of context. So you can look at individual spools, and then you could go back to select a spool, select all spools, and you'd see them in context with their own package or their own system. Okay, I think we're ready to process these pieces. So I'm going to take over screen sharing, if you don't mind. Give me a thumbs up, Sean, when you can see my screen.
you're good.
Okay, great. I had the same model sitting here open. This is completely unrelated. If I go to my PypeServer Cloud and I go to that same exact project, I can see these pieces as well on my side. And the way we went about that is on Sean's side, he can share individual projects with people outside of his team. So really what that looks like, I'll go back to projects and share one of my projects, I guess, with Sean. I've got Academy P model, right? I can go into sharing on this particular one, and I could go to Sean Keeley, IELY, like that.
Correct.
At evolve mep.com.
MEP, correct.
.com. Okay. So when I'm sharing this project with Sean, I can choose whether or not he's read-only. This would be somebody on your shop floor that's just processing the material. Read-only means I can't change anything that's up in the cloud except for status. Status is part of the workflow. Contributor means I'm maybe in the VDC and I'm adding to this project. I'm putting more cut files up there. And then editor means that I can delete this project. I can rename this project. So I'll say Sean, since he's got Revit, is going to be a contributor. I must have typed it in wrong, but you get the idea. It's telling me you don't have an active account, and I bet you're just using a different email address. Okay, so we want to process these pieces. We'd like to get a lot of these to show up as cut. All right. In this viewer here, you can see the hanger rods being present. You can also see the piping being present. In the PypeServer world, in the fabrication shop world, you're not going to use a piping profiler 5-axis plasma cutter to cut your hanger rod. You're going to use something more like a tiger stop or a bandsaw or a upcut cold saw or something like that. So we have software that's written specifically for this smaller diameter stuff that also powers a variety of machines. Okay, so here under our settings, I can give you the list. We power all versions of TigerStop, older versions and newer versions of Razor Gauge, or if you're already utilizing Razor Gauge Autolist, we sync with them. We support Kentucky Gauge positioners, and just this month we added RMT Smart Series. These are completely powered automatic bandsaws. They're awesome. Okay, but a lot of our customers use this as a manual operation too, meaning that I want to take care of automatic nesting. I want to take advantage of great labeling, and I want to take advantage of tracking, but I don't really have a TigerStop to push back and forth. I'm still going to pull tape on everything that I cut. Okay, so what it looks like when you're bringing these items in is you would go to Import, go to PypeServer Cloud. This is the project we've been playing with. The hangers cut file is here, as is the piping. The piping's probably too much for this machine. There was a lot of 6- and 8-inch pipe on there. I'm going to bring in just the hangers. So 79 parts uploaded, 79 parts downloaded. It switches right to it and then prompts me for my stock length. So let's say I've got 12-foot hanger rods that I want to use for nesting. It automatically uses 12 feet as my full stock length, and then does what it can to fit all those pieces on there mathematically. So you see at the top, this is our full cut list. Down at the bottom, this is an illustration of the first piece that I'll get cut. So you see, they got a 2-footer, we've got 4'4", 4'4", and then we've got a little bit of scrap at the end. Okay. When it comes to printing labels, we've got opportunities here to keep track of this scrap. Maybe this is going to come into play later on in another project. So we have ways under here to, under print settings, to say, I'd like to print on cut. So I'll print a label. I'll print this label on cut, which will have a QR code, the job, the name, material type, nominal size, length, the spool sheet, if appropriate. But then when it gets to any scrap that's over 12 inches, it'll actually print a separate label. It says return to stock, and some information about the piece, including the length, the heat number, and we'll see what that looks like in real time. So your workflow at your manual cutting station, a lot of times it's just a bandsaw on the floor with long tables, in feed and out feed. Your workflow could just be measure, cut. I have an emulator here that shows what the printed label shows, but will look exactly like. Measure, cut. And measure, cut. You'll notice at the very end, I should get 2 labels. I'll get 1 label for the final piece, and then I get 1 label for returning to stock for the scrap. Okay. For 15.6 inches, you probably wouldn't return that to stock. You might, if you're being super frugal, and awesome. But when it gets to the end of a cut list, you're going to have some that just have 1 or 2 small pieces on it. You'll have a significant amount of drop that you're going to want to keep track of, and that's what these labels are for. Okay. Now, as it pertains to hanger prefab, we get a lot of customers asking about bundling, because you notice a lot of these 24-inch, 52-inch, these are the same lengths over and over and over again. Now, maybe this hanger rod actually comes in bundles of 4, and you'd like to utilize that. You won't have to break apart the bundle just to cut them. So under the load stock window, you can either set manually, say I'm going to say my bundle size is 4, or you can use this optimize button, which will actually mathematically figure out the best way to cut this. And it's saying, if you want to cut it the best way, bundle 10 of them together. I don't think that will work in real life, though, because it'll just be too big for your saw, and it may just be too sloppy to try and cut. Maybe 4 is the way to go. So when I bundle 4 of them together, I get my bundled options at the top. So each one of these lines here, this orange line, for example, represents 4 pieces because they're bundled together. And we do what we can to warn you, like, hey, when you're loading this stock, you're bundling 4 pieces. So grab 4. Okay. So these first 3 are all bundled, and then the individual ones are down at the bottom. These are ones that could not be bundled. And the workflow is exactly the same. You measure, and then you cut it. Just you end up getting 4 labels. Okay, they're all going to look basically the same with different identification numbers on there. Okay, so that's PypeServer Lite. It's a low barrier to entry software. Actually, in the fabrication world, it's very inexpensive as it comes to software. So we'd love to hear if any of you guys are interested in trying out PypeServer Lite. When it comes to processing the full lengths of 6-inch, 8-inch, any pipe on your piping profiler, this would come down to PypeServer Enterprise, which is our flagship software. This is what started the business for us 12 years ago. It's powers, what's the full list, David? David, my CEO, is on here also. But we power Watts machines up to 2020. We power all of the new HGG machines. We come standard on Vernon machines, and we come standard on Lone Star machines. And we have a number of Mashatech customers out there as well.
You got it.
Okay, nailed it. Okay, so it's the same idea. We want to bring information into PypeServer Enterprise without them having to design the pieces on the fly, which is kind of the old way of going about it. So what this looks like is I'll go to importing. Evolve has its own specific importer. Here's a full list of importers that we support. And we partner up with lots of different companies and software manufacturers. Okay, so under Evolve, I click on Connect. It is going to go to PypeServer Cloud, but it's only going to show me Evolve type cut lists, all the ones that came from Evolve. So if I grab the piping from Evolve and click on Import, it brings it into a staging area where you can expand and see what happened with each piece. Some of them are just plain old straight cuts. You see this one has a bevel end on each side, but there's really just 2 end cuts. So it's a single piece with no holes in it. Some of them were already recognized. This one had an OLED on it, a Hackney 57 on this 6-inch pipe, and it created a hole within there automatically. And I think as I scroll down, there's going to be some more impressive pieces. This one has 2 OLEDs on it. So saddles and OLEDs will all get handled right here. Okay, so I'm going to bring these all in, all 43 rows. If I go to my designs tab, switch over to scheduled parts, I can see all of these pieces ready to be fabricated here with beveled ends, just like we defined way back in Revit. So maybe I'll take this 6-inch pipe here, and I will nest it on a new piece of pipe. And for anybody that doesn't have PypeServer, this isn't really a training. I'm just going to fly through it, but it should look pretty familiar to the PypeServer customers that are on the call. Okay, so this is my full stick. I went with 240 inches here. Okay, I'm able to view any matching pieces. Now, the cool thing here is we can grab any matching pieces from any job, any package, anything that's in your PypeServer database. So it doesn't have to come from that latest Revit model to be nested on this piece. Now, you wouldn't typically work on 5, 6, 8 projects at the same time in your fabrication shop, but if you're finishing up project A and you're starting project B and there's a lot of the same size pipe on there, this is an opportunity to combine those projects and packages and get the most out of your material, because the more pieces you have to cut, the better your nesting algorithm is going to come out as. Okay, so if I click auto nest, it's going to go through everything that's in that list and see what fits. It's just showing me some warnings about pieces that it's not able to process. Okay, so it nests them all onto this piece, ready to be cut. For anybody that does have a piping profiler, this is probably common knowledge, but there is a section of the pipe that is held by the chuck that is typically not accessible to be used. So we have some features on here that we can get the most out of that just by doing use far end of pipe. It's going to shift everything to the left. I'm going to click on auto nest again to see if anything else fits right here. So this goes right back through the list. Probably the same warning, yep. It's going to see if anything else fits on the end. Excellent. Oh, and it already accounted for the chuck and it moved some pieces there. So as long as there's a flat plain end on this side, it can be beveled on this side and it clears the chuck, then we can utilize all of this data. Okay, get the most out of this material. All right. So the entire time that we've been cutting things in PypeServer Lite, nesting things in PypeServer Enterprise, it's been communicating with PypeServer Cloud. So if I go back here and click on refresh, Sean will get this too. You know, Sean in Wisconsin and me in Pennsylvania, we have the same view of what's going on with this project from a bird's eye view, you know. As far as this cut list goes, I cut 7 pieces while we were demonstrating PypeServer Lite. Some of those pieces will show up here. So this piece has been cut. So we capture this data and we timestamp this data because we have some prefab reports that we can run off of this data. When it comes to PypeServer Lite, your statuses are nothing and cut, okay? Because our scope kind of ends at the moment. It ends at the end of the cutting sequence. When it comes to PypeServer Enterprise, there's much more steps in there. We can see that something has been nested. If I send it to the machine, it will have a separate line item in here that would say on machine. And then when I finally do cut it, you'd see that third line item of cut. So this is opportunity to take these data points and maybe create some intelligent reports out of there. How long does it take between my operator nesting something and having it processed on the machine? And then if you have 2 machines, you can compare machine A to machine B and be able to get some insights out of your data. Okay, that was a big word salad. I think I covered the entire workflow for multiple things. We did hanger prefab. We also did piping profilers and showed that PypeServer Cloud is keeping track of everything that's going on in the real world. One other thing I want to cover quick is we just added a feature here where we can take spool sheets, whether they're JPEGs or PDFs, and we can drop them into PypeServer Cloud to be able to give you a spool sheet viewer. Okay, so we have spool sheets that are named exactly the same as the spools that are up here. Oh, maybe they're not, but you didn't upload the same ones, and that's okay. I'm going to rename these guys to CHWR 40 and above, just to demonstrate what this thing looks like. I clicked too fast, excuse me. Come on, Windows. Now I'll just do these 3. Okay, so I take 41 through 43, and I just drop them right here. Excuse me. Pardon me. I think this is a Edge versus Chrome issue. Just a second. I'm going to bring the same thing up over here. Here, I have the same thing in Google Chrome. what's supposed to happen is the programmer is supposed to test in Edge and Chrome before showing it to everyone. But what happens is you take these files, you drop them in, and it starts to process them. Oh, I got my own little warning there. It's asking me to select a cut file before dropping any files. Piping cut file. Because these are not hanger sheets. Let's drop these in. Okay, so this will give you a spool sheet viewer while you're up here. So if you do it in a couple different rounds here, where you'd send your piping from Revit, and then you've got your spool sheets already printed to PDF anyway, drag them into PypeServer Cloud, they'll automatically get associated. So if I go to CHWR41, excuse me, it picks up that the file name matched the name of the spool. And now whenever you cut anything from CHR41, on the label will be a QR code. That QR code takes you right back to this page right here, if you have access, if you're a team member, and then you're able to view the spool sheet. Okay, I am done listening to myself talk.
All right. Thanks so much, Ricky, for going over all of that, and Sean as well for demonstrating the Evolve side. We do have a few polls to run and a few questions coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and put this first question up, and we can take some questions while you guys submit your answers. So we're asking, how are you currently tracking fabrication orders? And honestly, we've done this question in some other fabrication related webinars, and I'm always surprised to see how many people are still working purely just with paper and whiteboard and making phone calls and doing things manually. So it looks like the question that we had come in pertained to the hanger placement that we were talking about earlier. So this is one for you, Sean. Michael asks, does it work with a duct that would be drawn in CAD but referenced in?
So placing hangers on the duct, it would have to be in your own model. It will coordinate around the duct, but it won't place them on the duct.
All right, fantastic. And we've got a few of those poll results in. Looks like a lot of people said they are still using Excel. And we've got SysQ M Suite as kind of the second most popular response here. So yeah, really interesting to see how many folks are still doing this in a manual workflow. Even with Excel, you're having to submit a lot yourself. The second question we have. Of the options listed below, which would you most like to improve or solve in your shop? And while we're waiting for those responses, Ricky, can you tell folks what's the best way for them to get started with PypeServer Connect?
Well, PypeServer Connect is the application that is integrated with Evolve. So it'd be evolvemvp.com/downloads, which I think everyone is going to get a link for, but that'll take you right to download the plugin that'll enable PypeServer compatibility. After that, you'd want to reach out to PypeServer to get accounts for PypeServer Cloud, to get demonstrations of our software, to purchase our software. That can all be done with sales@pipeserver.com, or just reach out to my email address, which I'm sure is in some of these slides.
Great. I've gone ahead and submitted those links in the chat for easy access in case anybody wants to check it out. And I'm also going to include Richard's email here. All right, and let's take a look at that last poll question. Most of you guys said that ordering prefab from the field is what you would like to improve, and also just your overall shop efficiency. Great. Thanks everyone for participating in that. And looks like we've got another question coming in here from Tom. Are the pipe supports standard with Revit, or is it an add-on package for sale? Sean, would you know the
The
answer to this one?
pipe supports are included with Evolve itself. We have both ITMs in our database, the Origin database, or we also have a few of the mechanical family supports as well, but they are included with Evolve.
Okay, fantastic. Yep. And you can reach out to anybody at the evolvemepteam.com or go to our website to schedule a demo if you're not already using Evolve Mechanical. Tom asked, can you show us some more supports? Tom, why don't I have someone reach out to you directly about that? And we can absolutely walk you through that process and show you where Evolve can help. All right, fantastic. Well, thank you everyone so much for attending today. Make sure to follow Evolve and PypeServer on social media to keep up with all of our upcoming events, webinars, and we're always putting out all kinds of resources to help you guys improve your BIM to prefab workflows. As a reminder, this webinar has been recorded and we'll send out the recording in an email to all registrants. If we were not able to answer your question today, that'd be you, Tom. We'll be in touch. Thanks again, everyone. Have a fantastic day.
You.